Hello everyone, this is the 12th video of our YouTube channel, and if you recall, in the previous video of our channel we have discussed about the interdependent origination at the human consciousness or the mind level. So that explanation essentially comes from Buddhist teachings, and then we try to relate that teaching to the specific information or the system called the 12 links of interdependent origination. And in these 12 links we discussed about the formation of our human consciousness, utilizing and based on the cause and effects, and then how the consciousness is formed depending on the mental fabrication, ignorance, and also the defilements and the fetters that we have in our mind. But then interdependent origination can be explained in many different ways. And the topic of today's video is the same subject, but we are going to explain it in different way. So when we say the interdependent origination, it essentially means the elements that we have in a cyclic, a circle that runs in cyclic nature, so they are related to each other. So when you have an interdependent nature, then you cannot say that each element rises independently without any dependency to each other. No, in an interdependent cycle, the elements in that cycle are dependent to each other, so that they cannot be seen as empty in their overall picture. The same thing can apply into our human energy system. So as I mentioned, that is our topic in this video. Even if you look at the human energy system, for an example, the chakras you have in your body and the energetic levels corresponding to each chakra, they are interrelated too. And then in this video we are going to discuss about how they are interconnected, and how the energy system of a human body can be explained scientifically, by presenting, by bringing forth this interdependent origination in this context. So the content covered in this video is going to be useful for many practitioners who are coming from many different religious or ethnic backgrounds, because end of the day, despite your background or creed, as human beings we have the same energy system. So we are simply trying to learn how this energy system works, and how each energy level of this system is interconnected to each other, so that the human evolution, the natural human evolution, through the awakening of these energy centers, naturally have a cyclic nature to it. So we say that many things in this universe, many natural phenomena in this universe, including the creation and the dynamic nature of the universe, and even the biological and physiological nature of human beings and human bodies, they possess similarly a cyclic nature. They have a similarly a cyclic nature. The same applies for our energy system. So it's really fascinating in that sense, and that's what we are going to investigate in this video. And as I mentioned, this information comes from our own meditative experience, so that this is just a relative information depending on what we perceive through the meditation, so that it won't be exactly matching to the description that we find in religious text, but that's how it is. because end of the day the universe is always available in absolute sense and in an absolute form, but what we experience through our mind, what we see through our mind, is just a relative experience. Well, now let's take a look at this figure. So we have a figure of a meditator who is sitting in a meditation posture, and then his awakened chakras are shown. Well, they're actually shown and displayed as meditative concentrations. So you can call them samadhis. So we have already studied in our previous videos that these samadhis or the chakras represent certain meditative frequencies or vibratory frequencies. So for an example, now in this figure, like the bottommost band represents 741 megahertz. So that essentially is corresponding to the fifth chakra of our body. So all these energy centers are corresponding to a certain frequency. So they are like pretty much following the science, the basic science that we have studied in high school, and from that the base energy or the base frequency, we are slowly evolving, gradually evolving to the first state. That's where the mind disappears. So this state is what we call the clear light. So the purple color here, it represents the third eye chakra. So when you come to this chakra, you will have illumination of certain meditative states in purple or indigo color. Well, some people reported the illumination of this center as in gold color. Well, that's also possible, but typically when you don't have any deep meditative concentrations at this level, it is usually visible in purple color. And then from that level we jump into the no mind state, where the mind disappears. This is what we refer to as the clear light. So this is the first moment usually a meditator will witness the clear light, and this clear light should not be misunderstood or mistaken for the jhana light, because sometimes most of the time the jhana lights, the samadhis relevant or related to jhanas start to appear at this point. That's the case at in 90% of the situations. But only 10% of meditators can even witness their fruition mind at this level. But it all depends on their previous meditative experiences, their maturity in their samsara, and many other factors. And after this point, we come to the subsequent meditative states. So they can appear in many different forms. Usually they appear in golden color, and if you are a keen meditator, you should be able to absorb in these meditative states for a prolonged period of time, so that eventually your mind, the consciousness will disappear into these states, so that in these states the individuality cannot be found. So you become simply one with the entire existence, or that very meditative state, or whatever you want to call. But this is not the end. This can further go on, and when you go beyond these the golden color meditative states, then you will come to another clear light stage, and then it will be followed by several other higher meditative concentrations. But one important thing to note is that at these lower energy centers, or the lower frequency, around the lower frequency centers, our mind exists. So even if you try to do meditation, and even if you try to try your best to disappear yourself in these energy centers, frequency bands, it is really difficult to do, because the mind exists. But once you surpass this level, once you transcend this level, then you will come to this first clear light experience, and then subsequent levels, then you can let your mind disappear easily. So that's where the mind disappears, as shown in this diagram or the figure. Well, now these are the different meditative states. At least these are some examples. Here, what I'm trying to explain is that even these meditative states are interrelated. So, for an example, from the lowest level, the 741 megahertz level, um, if you like deeply immerse in meditation, then you will jump to the next level automatically, and then you will come to the third eye energy center automatically. And if all these energy centers are activated in you, from the gross level of your mind, from the gross level of your consciousness, you will go through these energy states pretty quickly. And it depends on the mastery of your meditation. And if you are a seasoned meditator, you will go to the golden state in blink of an eye. And all these meditative states are interrelated and they are interdependent. And that's why you will always go through these states as a sequence. You cannot jump from one meditation state to the other. So basically, this is what I wanted to explain as the interdependent nature of the energy system in us. So these meditative states can be attained by awakening your certain chakras in your body. You can take the help from a guru, or you can try to awaken them with your own experience, with your own effort. Um, but the thing that you have to keep in your mind is that um, awakening of all these centers will happen gradually, and you have to also make some effort outwardly to make them activated. So, for an example, let's say now the fifth chakra or the throat chakra, the blue color one, 741 megahertz, that frequency band um, has certain qualities. That energy center has certain qualities. So, in order to fully activate them, you have to do some service, or you have to engage in certain activities outwardly, so that it will be tremendously helpful to activate the fifth chakra. And when you come to the third eye, well, it's the center for the intellect, it's the center for the intelligence, for the intellectual capacity. So when you have this energy center activated from the natural evolutionary process, then you have to do something in return to the existence, so that you can help other people. You can engage in some in your intellectual capacity by like explaining certain dharmas or spiritual facts, spiritual information to other people, so that your third eye will get its fully active its full activation, and then it will come into um, the complete opening of the chakra. Likewise, the next level is the clear light. So the clear light is the symbolism and also the reflection of the compassion, human compassion. Usually when a meditator comes to this level, he will start to see many different visions through meditation, and he will start to feel being he feels that being compassionate to other people, people around him, it's coming like a natural need to him, so that he needs to get engaged in similar activities, so that these activities themselves will help the person to manifest and also further deepen this meditative experience, so that his compassion will grow, and growing of this compassion would also help him to proceed or further progress in his meditation. So likewise, from the first clear light, the meditator starts to develop compassion towards all beings, all sentient beings, compassion towards himself, and this compassion itself will um, bring him forth, carry him through the next energy centers. It's typical for a meditator to have um, a high ego, not a harmonized ego, but a very high ego at the Anya chakra activation. And if when this happens, the Anya chakra energy will be focusing more on it will be spreading across the horizontal layer, but it will not help you to evolve through the vertical layer. So that is why it's quite important to have and develop compassion during the first clear light, because only through the compassion one can actually evolve through their energy system. More compassion you have towards other sentient beings, and more spiritually open you are to other people, and more accessible you are to others, others can share your energy, so that you can be also attuned to more compassionate energy beings or higher beings, or even a God, or the highest universal energy itself. So the point that I'm trying to highlight here is that if you take these 31 planes of existence, the highest energy center represents, well, the God, well, the highest universal state. And from that highest universal state, this purest energy from in this universe descend down slowly to lower vibratory energy centers. And these energy centers and the vibratory frequencies will be activated in descending order. So when you make the connection from your energy system, the physical body, to the higher source God, you say it is the ascension. So that is the ascending, that happens in ascending order. But when the God or the universal energy descends down to your physical body, your energy system will get activated. Your energy system will be attuned to this God or the universal energy, so that all your chakras will be functional. But however, it can only happen with the help of compassion. And without the compassion, we cannot even progress through our energy system, or we cannot awaken our high chakras. So this is something that we have to remember. Well, now we already had the idea that the energy centers or the energy levels in our human chakra system, or the energy bodies, well, they cannot awaken, or they cannot come into their fruition just out of the blue. They have to happen according to a sequence, or with the support or with the guidance of a guru, or maybe with the aid of your own sadhanas. So as I mentioned, the main reason for having a sequence, when you move from all these from the lowest level to the upper level, from the, let's say for an example, from your root chakra to the crown chakra, so this movement happens because of this interdependent nature between the energy levels. And this interdependent nature, if you zoom and scrutinize, a level interface between two energy centers or two energy levels, you would see, or at least from your own meditative experience, you will realize that there's sort of like an energy bond between two levels. And this is the energy bond that we when you have this type of experience, or when you have this type of vision, you can give any meaning to it, because you usually experience, you come to these as epiphanies through meditation, but then It's up to you to like give any meaning to it. I think the best meaning we can give to this type of bond or connection between two energy levels is the awareness of that particular energy center, the awareness of that particular two consecutive energy levels. So, this awareness wants to know where it is, and this awareness wants to be aware of its full potential. And that's how, when you engage in meditation, you naturally evolve from one energy center to the other. So, for an example, let's say now you are in the fourth energy center or the fourth chakra energy level, and then from that level itself through you wants to know the next level. So, this is what we call the natural awareness of our energy system, or the natural evolutionary, or the cause that is behind the natural evolutionary process of our human energy system. So, at each energy center, when you come into the fruition of that energy center through meditation, this awareness arises, and this awareness gives the requirement to know the next level. So this is basically, how the universe works. Universe also wants to know what it is. Universe wants to experience what it is through a human body. That's why, in some of the religious texts we say that the God wants to know what it is, so that the God wants to experience it through a human body. So that is basically what's happening through the. Well, in this video segment, I want to take your attention into the chakra system of the human body. Now, in this figure, you see 7 chakras. So they are like starting from the root chakra to the crown. Well, we say that typically in a human energy system, we have most critical 7 energy centers, but in many different religious texts from both east and west, the yogis have found and came up claiming that there are about 114 chakras in our body. So we will leave the watchers to decide about that. But then we typically say in religious context that human body is human being is a carbon copy of the universe. Or in more religious sense, we say that the human being is the son of God. So what does it exactly mean, and where does the chakra system where it actually came from? Well, I think it's a metaphorical way of saying that the parallels between to demonstrate the parallels between our spiritual evolutionary process and the universal energy system. So based on our lineage teachings, I could also share wisdom with you. So according to our lineage teachings and our lineage head, we used to believe that the energy centers in our body have a direct connections or direct corresponding elements, or the corresponding energy centers also to the universe. So in other words, we have 7 energy centers in our physical body, and then similarly we have 7 energy centers in our the universal energy structure. So our third eye is connected to the common third eye, the universal third eye. Similarly, our root chakra is connected to the most gross level energy center of the universe. We are awakening our chakras according to this centralized energy system. So that is the basic idea I want to convey in this figure. And there's a certain pattern or there's a certain blueprint that is ingrained in this energy system, that is ingrained in our also in our human consciousness, or in our deep layers in our human brain. And according to this blueprint, actually we are evolving through our energy centers. So for an example, if you look at this figure, we have the sixth chakra, the Ajna chakra, or the third eye chakra, and then we have the root chakra at the lowest level. And if you ask from many meditators, many enlightened people who have awakened all these chakras, energy centers in their body, they would say that there's a sort of like a blockage or like a hindrance to the sixth and seventh energy centers in our body from the root chakra. So there's a sort of interdependent nature between the root chakra and the sixth chakra. And if someone wants to fully awaken their energy centers and their entire energy system, and if someone wants to go into the full ascension and their full ascension plan, then they have to realize the interdependent nature between these energy centers. So how does this the interdependent nature in this system is affecting our ascension plan? Well, now we have this sixth energy center. Suppose that it is not fully awakened, so it is about to awaken, and there's a bottleneck or there's a hindrance to this awakening from the root chakra. So it is usually felt like you are hanging a load of, let's say, a heavy load from the root center, so that your sexual energy or the vital energy of your body is going in the downward direction, and because of that reason you cannot bring your the spiritual energy in the upward direction to awaken the sixth chakra and also the seventh. So likewise, there are these kind of bottlenecks. There are certain hindrances in our body and in our energy system that stops our awakening. So by doing certain sadhana for the root chakra, one can also get rid of the bottleneck and the blockages, leaving you to come to the sixth chakra awakening. So in many of our spiritual practices, in our meditation, and also in Hindu yogic sadhanas, we can awaken our chakras and we can get rid of certain dependencies in this way if we understand how our human energy system works. Now let me give you a particular example to illustrate how the interdependent nature of the universe or the universal energy system works. So as I told you before, you could see parallels between our human energy system and the universal energy system. So you can find the same energy centers in our body or corresponding the universal energy centers outside us. And in this particular example, we are looking at how the yogi or the person who is following, let's say, a specific spiritual path is tested by the universe or uh, the, the the spiritual environment. You can also call it the matrix control system. And this is not the first time actually people speaking about the matrix control system or the training ground for spiritual practitioners. I think you can find plenty of similar materials, from other spiritual star seeds. But in my case, the particular example I give you here is something that we have encountered. So, as you can see here, let's assume that the practitioner is now encountering some external symbols or external signals, let's say, that can trigger lust and hunger in you. And as you already know, these the feelings or these triggers are usually belonging to the lower energy centers, the lowest energy centers or the lowest vibratory energy fields. So that when you capture these, or when you get yourself identified with these the low energy vibrations, this triggering can induce a certain imbalance into your root chakra or the lower level of your chakras, because these chakras are corresponding or directly related to the lower vibratory frequencies or lower vibratory field. And this triggering can induce an energy change to the root chakra, and in return, correspondingly, there will be a signaling from your physical body root chakra to the universal, the energy field, so that the lowest level of the energy center in the universe, when you are under test, is also getting triggered. And from this point, another signal, another triggering signal will be transmitted to the purest source of the universal energy, so that this energy feedback loop is actually working as a test case on the practitioner. And then from the purest source of the universe, finally, depending on this feedback mechanism, it will decide whether the practitioner is taken along the path for the next consecutive stages, or whether the practitioner should receive a message or receive a teaching from another guru to fulfill his requirement, or to fix his issues, to work on his personal issues, or maybe he might be needing further teachings, further guidance to handle at this stage. So this is one of the prime examples I can give you to illustrate how this feedback mechanism of this universe, when the spiritual practitioner is heavily under test, to showcase how this feedback mechanism works, and thereby to illustrate the interdependent nature of the energy levels or the energy system of this universe. And with that illustration, I conclude my video. So if you want more of these kind of interesting videos, please subscribe and also comment under our videos, to if you have any questions, if you have burning questions to be resolved, related to the energy system, human energy system, and specific untrodden spiritual paths. Thank you.